Okay, welcome. So I'm going to talk about some crazy ideas for the future. Now keep in mind what seems crazy now may not be so crazy in 30, 40, or 50 years. In some cases we have the technology already to do these things, and in some cases we don't. We need some great new technology. But for example, if somebody told you back in the 1950s that you're going to be able to use your phone and it's going to have GPS and it's going to be able to tell you which direction to go when you're driving, or you're going to be able to take pictures with your phone or movies with your phone, or go into Starbucks and buy a coffee, you would have said you're crazy. But now people do all of these things. So, realize what seems crazy now may not be so crazy in the future. Okay, so the first idea, and once again, some of these ideas are things that other people have talked about before, some perhaps not. And the first idea I'm going to call Instapop. I was driving on the 210 freeway one day, and I was going east out of Pasadena, and there was just a huge amount of trucks in the morning, and they're creating a big traffic jam, and I was like, wow, there must be some way to get the volume of these trucks down so we don't have so many trucks on the road, so we could free it up for more cars. And I thought, what if you could shrink the contents of every truck down to 2 or 3% of its original size? We'd need far less trucks and their shipping costs would go way down. Now, how would you do something like that? Well, in the case of produce, could we dehydrate the produce on one end, ship it and deliver it, and then on the other end rehydrate it and have it taste exactly the same as if you hadn't done anything to it? Or what about if we shipped a table? How would we do that? If you have a table and you resize it and shrink it down on one end, deliver it, and then resize it on the other end. So there we'd need some great new technology. But think about the implications of that. If you can get the volume of trucks down by like 98%, and think of the cost savings. So sure, it would put some people out of work, maybe put some truck drivers out of work, but we could work out all those details. But think about the implications of that in terms of less pollution, quicker drive times for people, etc. Okay, the next idea I'm going to call universal check-in. Now, right now you can go to a lot of hotels and you can check in online and you get there and it tells you where to pick up your keys. But what I'm talking about is universal check-in anywhere in the world, not just for hotels, but for restaurants, airport check-in, maybe for job applications, maybe for a hospital check-in as well. So you have all your information stored somewhere on one number, and then you just, for example, in the case of a hotel, you just submit that number to the hotel, let them know which nights you want to stay, and you've got the rate already. And then when you get there, it has all your credit card information, your bank information, whatever information you'd like to provide to them. And so there's no problem with payment, and you get there, you don't have to stand on a line, and you just go to the desk and pick up your keys. Now, I know Apple has talked about using a passport on your phone in terms of using it for airport check-in. Now, what the idea is that you'd have your passport on your phone, they just scan your phone, and then you would have to carry around a physical passport. Now, in addition to that, airports have talked about having you walk through a tunnel. Instead of going through security, you're walking through some sort of a tunnel, and it scans you for weapons, and then it also scans your phone to make sure that you have your passport. And then you'd need some sort of a security feature like a biometric scan. Perhaps you do a retinal scan your eye to make sure that you are in fact who you say you are, and then you just go right to your departure gate. Okay, next thing I'm going to call car-to-car messaging. Now this is going to work a lot better when we have self-driving cars, because right now we don't want people driving focusing on talking to the cars around them in terms of sending them either text messages or voice messages. But what if we had self-driving cars and then the driver was free to do other things? For example, you're heading to Vegas and you send the car next to you a message, say, hey, I'm heading to Vegas. It looks like you're heading to Vegas too. Can you tell me a good place to stay or some good restaurants, etc. And maybe the drivers can chat between each other. And then you could even have something like a dating feature where if you see a nice looking woman who's driving next door to you and she has her dating feature turned on, so she could turn it on or off and she could block certain users, etc. But you could actually have some sort of a dating feature as well. Okay, yeah, this would be great for travel tips, I think. So once again, the driver could use their time for other things other than focusing on the driving. Okay, next thing, I'm going to call sunblock, but when I say sunblock, I'm not talking about something that you rub on your skin to block out the sun. I'm talking about a satellite, either in what they call geosynchronous orbit or geostationary orbit, that would actually block out some portion of the sun in order to reduce the amount of sunshine we get, which would reduce global warming. Now, I'm sure we have all these types of satellites now that are in either geosynchronous or geostationary orbit, so those technologies are already in place. Then it would be a matter of putting up some sort of a shade and then being able to open and close the shade to allow the proper amount of sunlight that we want. And then who gets to control that? Is it the government? Do they get to say, okay, at 7 a.m. every morning this shade opens and then it closes at noon, so that from 12 to 3 it's closed during the heat of the day and then we open up it again later? Or do we open it up for only a percentage of the day or a percentage to allow a certain amount of sunlight in? Because we still need things like photosynthesis for plants, so we'd have to work out all those details. But once again, most of that technology we already have. Okay, the last thing I'm going to call item scan, and I know I've heard other people talk about this as well. So you're walking through the supermarket and you take your phone and you scan the barcode on an item, and it then gives you all the caloric and nutritional information. But what about having product reviews? What about having recipe information, etc.? So you scan, for example, a thing of barbecue sauce and it then gives you a really good recipe to use with the barbecue sauce. And if it's not a food item, maybe it just gives you a product review and lets you choose among various items. Okay, so a lot of those ideas sound crazy, but I'm sure there's some very smart people out there. Hopefully it's you that can make all these things work. This is John, and thanks for watching.